Welcome. I'm going to talk today about Hedera, HBAR. Hedera is a layer 1. Some of you who have seen my videos before might be thinking, you've talked about Hedera before, we know about it, move on, talk about something else. Well, I wanted to do a new video because they had somewhat of a marketing facelift, if you will. They've sort of reorganized some things. So I thought I'd put a video together because every day there's people new to crypto. They might be searching for things related to Hedera. So I'm going to talk about it with respect to three main areas. First is Hedera itself, how it works, what it is, and some background about it. If you already know about it, you might want to skip ahead to section 2, where I'm going to talk about recent news and related news that have come out regarding Hedera in the last, let's say, couple months, sort of an update. And then lastly, going to talk about money, and let's talk about projections and where we think it could go. This is June 19th when I'm putting the video out. Let's get started on Hedera, but first, my disclaimer. If you haven't heard it before, I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. This is informational purposes only. Now, real quick, I've got at the bottom of every YouTube video, like the one you're watching, there'll be a like button, there's a subscribe button. If you want to help the channel out and just support, there's a join button, separate member area where you can have different discussions if you're interested. More importantly, down below is a link to what I call my school community. It'll take you to this about page where you can learn about it. And there's two main areas. One, we have discussions about crypto every day, anything from moving to a wallet to buying a particular crypto. But more importantly, I have all of these classes and courses. And I'm now denoting them as beginner, intermediate, advanced, step-by-step, so you can learn everything you want to learn about crypto in courses with multiple videos on most all of them. And I'm creating more courses all the time. Let's get started. Here is Hedera. This is their website. If we look at CoinMarketCap, it lists all of the top ones by market cap. Hedera currently is number 21. Recently, earlier this year, it may have been up around number 11. And it is what they call a layer 1 crypto. So let's first talk about what is a layer 1 crypto. What does that even mean? You've probably heard the term. Various analogies are out there. Think of different highways that you're putting your car on. And you're building things on the highway, convenience stores, gas stations, whatever they are. And this highway is called Ethereum. And people are building things on the Ethereum highway. So it's the infrastructure for many different things. That's a layer 1, Ethereum. Solana is a layer 1. Near is a layer 1. Sui is a layer 1. Injective is a layer 1. Hedera is a layer 1. So there's different reasons why they would build on different ones. So you may be thinking, okay, if essentially you've got these layer 1s and you've got all these other solutions or projects built upon them, that's what makes up all of the various cryptos. All right, so the first thing that may come to mind is, well, if it's a layer 1 and there's multiple layer 1s, why would you choose one over the other? And there's various reasons. All layer 1s are called blockchains, except for Hedera, because it's actually a hash graph. We'll talk about that in a second. So some people say, and I've heard them say about Hedera, well, Hedera doesn't know what they are. They haven't picked what solution. Are they providing a blockchain to help those that want to build in the AI space, like agents and models? Or are they helping with RWA and tokenization? Where do they really fit? It's confusing. They don't know what they're doing. They have terrible marketing. Wrong. Hedera, like others, such as Ethereum, is very generic, meaning they've created an infrastructure that can be utilized in various industries. There are other layer 1s who have realized that in order to compete, they want to focus in a particular area. So for example, Injective is known as a decentralized finance layer 1. They probably have created tools and other things to help onboard developers and make it easier to build those types of solutions on their platform. Near is known as an AI, artificial intelligence layer 1. There's a whole backstory to that one. Okay, so you might say, well then, again, Hedera doesn't know what they're doing. They haven't picked a lane. This is exactly the same thing that happens in any industry. For example, let's just compare it to big data. Not that long ago, some big data companies came out. And essentially they looked and said, oh, there are companies that have all of this log data, tons of it. They don't know what to do with it. They just keep storing it. Their servers just keep spitting out these huge log files. They don't know what to do with it. And so there's so much of it, they call it big data. And then the first companies that came along were very generic. They said, okay, well, we're going to create a solution so we can pull all your big data in. And then how do they sell that solution? They usually have a salesperson who gets a hold of a company, and then they have a tech lead that comes in and builds them maybe some front-end graphical user interface reporting so that they can go to a customer and say, you're in the finance industry. Here's an example of what we could provide you if you used our tool to sort through your big data. And they call someone else up in a totally different industry, and they go sell over there. That's usually what happens. That's not unlike Hedera. If you look under their use cases, you'll see things for real-world asset tokenization, DeFi, payments, NFTs, all sorts of things. And you'll say, well, okay, so they don't know what they're doing. No, they've provided an infrastructure that fits in many different industries. Now, when big data came along, other companies wanted to compete in that space. And there were a couple, actually one really large big data company is very well known. They started particularly in IT, but they branched out to basically as much as they could. When other companies wanted to compete, just like other layer ones want to come and compete, they say, wow, that's a hard market to get into. We don't have first mover advantage. We need to focus our marketing. So then people will come out and say, well, we're a big data company just for finance or just for the medical industry or whatever it may be. Why do you do that? Well, someone goes to the website of the generic big data and they look around and they might be confused. I don't know how this applies to me. Whereas if they go to the website of a big data company that only does finance, everything is talking about finance as soon as they hit. They're like, oh, and it has some out-of-the-box reporting for finance. Okay, so that was a long rant, but I want you to understand that if someone says, Hedera doesn't know what it's doing, they have terrible marketing, they can't decide who they are, they have no specific use case or industry they're going after, is because they have such great underlying qualities when it comes to finality, transaction speed, cost, you name it, and all of the nodes and the way it's governed and created, which we'll get into. They have one of the best, in my opinion, underlying layer one rails, as they might call it, to build upon. When we dig in on CoinMarketCap, if you're not familiar with CoinMarketCap, you click in, it shows you all the same data for every crypto. So you can compare apples to apples. You can see it's on every market out there. Total supply coins, 50 billion. That's the max supply. Current circulating, 42 billion. It's almost everything is out. So its market cap of 6 billion currently is very close to the fully diluted 7.3. I don't know did I just say it's on pretty much every large market out there. So that's great. Getting it, buying it, selling it, not a problem. Lots of liquidity. Let's just talk about the background of it real quick. Here's the best way to describe it. It's an enterprise-grade public network for the decentralized economy that allows individuals and businesses to create powerful, decentralized applications. DApps, you've probably heard of that. Very important that they say it's an enterprise-grade public network, as robust as you can get. They talk about some more background, but let's just go into this. Other blockchains, this is other or older, tend to use either proof of work or proof of stake. The Hedera, what's called hash graph, is a structure created from scratch. It's based on the point of stake model, and it's believed to increase the efficiency of transaction verification in the network, provide a high level of security, protect the network from hacker attacks. And it's their underlying hash graph consensus algorithm that was actually created and patented and then later made open source. Not going to go through the timeline, just know that. Here it is in a nutshell. Hedera Hashgraph is a distributed layer technology, a DLT. It differs from other blockchains because it uses their consensus algorithm called a hash graph. It processes and executes transactions faster, eliminates delays, smooths out the transactions per second, and is claimed to be an upgrade in transaction speed, cost, and scalability. So they basically said, let's make this thing better. There it is, blockchain. How can we make it better? Here's what we came up with, enterprise grade, and it has all of those underlying fundamentals that you would want. This is the Hedera.com site. I'm going to show you 3 different sites, how they're broken up and how they're different. On their main page, they have the major analytics in terms of seconds to finality, 2.9, average cost per transaction, 0.0001, and kilowatts per transaction. It is incredibly efficient. If you were to see a graph, they use the least amount of energy of any of these blockchains by far. Their cost is pegged to the US dollar, not to a cryptocurrency. In other words, to perform a transaction on the blockchain, you have to pay, and they usually call it a gas fee. And if you're using, for example, Ethereum, on the Ethereum blockchain, you have to pay in Ethereum. So it might cost, let's say, 0.001 Ethereum. Well, as the price of Ethereum goes up, that 0.001 costs you more in dollars because the price went up. What they did is they said, nope, it's not going to be based on the price of the cryptocurrency. It can go up as high as it wants. It's always going to cost $0.001. So you just need enough of that crypto to cover the cost. You might think, big deal, it's just one pricing model over the other. No, this is an enterprise grade solution, meaning they're going after large enterprise organizations with incredible amounts of data, and they have to be able to know exactly what it's going to cost them. You are not going to go into a large corporation anywhere out there and tell their CFO to sign up and pay for something, and you cannot tell them how much it's going to cost every month. It's just going to be variable. They'll laugh, they'll tell you to get out, or you're fired. So this is smart. Now let's talk about the other thing. It's a governed decentralized network, and they have their council, the Hedera Council. That's the next website. And what it pulls up is all of their council members, and you can learn more about it. And they've got, I don't even know how many at the moment. They serve a certain amount of time. To me, this is extremely helpful. You can see they've got IBM, Dell, Avery Dennison, BitGo, LG, many of them, and they're all working with Hedera in various ways and testing their network and that sort of thing. If you go to any other crypto, whether it's layer one or whatnot, you'll see some corporate involvement. You'll see maybe some advisory board members, but you're not going to see companies this many of this size that can be so impactful on their advisory board. No one else has this. That alone should tell you something. You know, oftentimes you think about a company and you've got your president and your CEO and whatnot, and typically they report to the board, and you've got your board members and they can vote on various things and change the direction of the company. But most people these days would want to be on an advisory board. And the real reason is for insurance reasons. If you're on the board, you have a fiduciary duty and you can be sued as such. If you're just on an advisory board, you can't. That's how an advisory board would work with a company. But these names and what they have, that says a lot. All right, so if you take a look at this, on the left-hand side here, this column is the Hedera Council. So Hedera LLC, the Hedera website, and the Hedera Council making up 39 organizations. They are essentially running the company. They make sure that network operations, security, strategic direction, everything's up and running, the stability, everything. The foundation here on the right-hand side, the other website, they're essentially a marketing arm, help grow the ecosystem and that sort of thing. Great. So now you know that the difference between Hedera as a layer one compared to other layer ones. And you know the difference between the website Hedera.com, Hedera LLC, and its governing council. Those two are together because the council drives the direction of the company. And then separate the foundation, which is there for marketing purposes. Great. Let's now talk about what we all love to talk about, the money. This is a daily chart of Hedera. As some of you may know, it wasn't that long ago, back in November of 24, and I'd love to throw up this little image because I did a video on the fact that it was only 4 cents back then. You may have wanted to look into it. And it ran up to 40 cents. And like all crypto since then, it has given up about 50% of that. It's down to 15 cents. Not uncommon for many of the cryptos because we're waiting for a lot of them to run with this bull market, or so we hope. I and you have probably seen projections, of course, short-term 20 cents, 30, 40, back up to where it was, but in the bull run, where might it go? Well, one thing that's interesting is I've seen projections of 80 cents, 90 cents, $1, $1.20, but this is a great site. They do market cap of. So you look at the cryptocurrency list of the top market caps, and you say, what is a competitor here to Hedera? First one that pops out that's been around for a while, Solana. Currently at $150. I've heard pricing predictions of 450, 600, 800. But even if it went to 600, that's 4 times what it is now. In other words, Solana could be not 80 billion, which is where it sits, but instead it could be 320 billion. But if we just look at what it is today of 80 billion, and we scroll down and look at Hedera of 6 billion, what would Hedera's price be? It's around 15 cents. If it had the current market cap of Solana, not even talking about future growth. So you put both of those in. Here's Hedera. Over here is Solana. Somehow I lost it because I clicked it. You type in what you want. And it says, well, if Hedera HBAR had the market cap of Solana, SOL, then Hedera's price would currently be $1.83, which is 12.37 times what it is now, a 12x return. You might say that's crazy. When I look at it from that point of view, could this 6 billion Hedera become a almost 80 billion? Well, considering where we believe some of these cryptocurrencies are going to go, and considering it's already been up close to number 10 and 11 in market cap in the past, do I think it could get up to Solana's current 80 billion? Yeah, I certainly do. Now, there's many ways people will look at these charts and try to gauge future pricing. I don't really try to do that, but if we just look at two things, some people will look at some of these fibs. They all draw it differently, but if you just look at the fib retracement tool, it puts the price well over $1 at like $1.65 or so. I'm not saying that's the case. There's many people that do much better technical analysis. I'm not telling you this is great technical analysis. I'm just throwing up a particular tool. I like to look at that. One of my favorites personally is any type of volume indicators. Volume precedes price. If we look at this one, it shows us the levels of volume at different pricing levels. We're down here, as you can see, this particular one being the most volume at this pricing level is a resistance because we haven't gotten above it. If we get above it, it will become support. And then as you go up, as you can see, it gets less and less resistance. Some charts are completely different. They've got a lot of pressure up here. It's just the sky's the limit. Where this goes, who knows? Personally, I'm hoping for an 80 cents to $1.20. I've been following Hedera for a long time. Do I think it could get up to a Solana market cap? Yeah, I think that's possible. Anything's possible. Hope this was helpful. If you're new to Hedera, hopefully the first third of this video helped you understand the differences between Hedera as a layer 1 and other layer 1s, and how they're organized and how they're set up as that enterprise grade solution. And then some of the most recent news, so you can see, because I think it's very important to stay on top of all the crypto you own and make sure that not only are they developing and changing and iterating and adding features, but they're also out there and trying to grow their ecosystem, partnering with people and providing solutions and getting into those testing phases, if not into actual production phases with various companies. And lastly, the pricing. I'll tell you personally, at this price, I bought some more just the other day. I've been buying it for quite a while, a couple of years, I guess. Have a great day. Hope this was helpful. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Thanks for watching.